we've talked about this a couple different times. We guaranteed when we moved to MERS that we would not diminish anybody's benefits. One of them is a disability pension is guaranteed at 50% of their final average compensation. MERS could only guarantee 25%, so we will pay any differences that happen because of that. We currently only have one individual that is in that situation, but we budget a little bit more than that because you never know when the second one's going to arrive. But we've set money aside, and that'll just slowly dwindle down over the years. The big one is page 77 for the retiree healthcare, the OPEB fund. The one good thing is the contribution is down about $100,000 from the previous year. The Medicare premiums have stayed fairly low. The pre-Medicare still goes up like the rest of them, but the Medicare have stayed low, and then there's less people retiring that have that benefit. So as people die off, people are not retiring and getting the benefit. This will slowly decline as far as the annual contribution. But again, we project investment income and all the expenses, and we always hope to make more than we spend on that one.
Quick question on that for last year. When we made that extra payment, I think, well, I've got quite a few PDFs up now here, but that one you sent us, oh, here it is. Yeah. Did we, at the beginning of last year, budget for that extra pension contribution? I think we did not, right?
No, that was where we closed out fiscal year 19. We came back and said we came in under budget on the personnel area and requested that we use that money then to pre-fund some of the pension. And so we had to do the budget amendment before we could make the contribution.
Okay, I was just curious as to it. I didn't have a chance really to review this sheet, but the deficit we had last year then. Okay, you're saying so 600,000 of the 1.3 million is pension, and the other 700 is capital. Is that what your little PDF is showing here?
Right.
Excuse me, with all due respect, let me know, since I'm in now, let me know where we at so I can follow along, please.
Well, actually, Randy, can you share your screen? Do you have that up? I'm just referencing, I think, Randy, you sent it to us, what, yesterday, probably? Or the day before?
Yeah, Monday or yesterday.
That short little general fund deficit discussion PDF, where he was summarizing why we were 1.3 million deficit. Well, currently for this fiscal year, why we're at about 1.3 million deficit.
Thank you. I'm going into this other screen.
And what would the, let's see, so resolution 1884, you said, the 700,000 in capital, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, which project would that have been that we added from the beginning of the year?
That was, if you recall, we closed out the building fund. It was about $23,000, transferred the money into general, and we closed out a CIP fund, and we transferred $555,000 into general fund. That was all then designated for capital, as well as an additional 400, I want to say 498,000, something like that, of money that was set aside for capital. It totaled $1,000,004,122. So, you know, point being that we transferred money into general fund, which caused the general fund balance to be higher than it normally would. We then designated it for capital, and then we ended up spending or budgeting to spend $692,000 of that $1,000,004. The point being, I'm trying to walk it back to what the actual operational deficit is versus things that we've set aside and done for other projects.
So yeah, it's pretty close then, besides those two items, it's about a 40,000
Right.
deficit, right? You're saying here.
And then right now, you'll see the 679, almost 680,000. I did a projection based on where we are year to date of where I believe we will be on personnel cost by June 30th, that we're actually projected to come in under budget by 680,000 this year, which is good because we're going to lose some state revenue share. But so that gives us a little bit of a cushion. Which again is I keep saying, listen, I'm conservative when it comes to money, and I'm not concerned about this fiscal year. I think we're still in very good shape financially. Next year is going to be a crapshoot depending on what happens, but this year I'm comfortable that we are in good shape, and that's kind of what this was designed to show. And then again, for the current budget, it had $1.4 million deficit. 1.2 of that was the ladder truck. Operationally, we're looking at $176,000 deficit, which is, again, relatively small on the overall budget.
Well, I get that's where I was saying the whole capital budget though is only like 600,000 more. Saying we shouldn't blame the whole ladder truck. I guess was obviously if we don't buy it, but we'd be buying it the next year or something.
Right. Right.
Okay, so that 680 then for the personnel cost, does that put us like 640 in the, or wait, no.
Well, you're right. If everything else came in as budgeted, we would be, operationally, we would be 640 positive. I mean, we're still spending money on capital. We still did the pension contribution. So.
Okay. So
I guess it would take the 1.3 down to, 700,000.
Okay. Okay, cool.
All right. Pep. Oh, and then the one last thing I had was on page 78, there's a brand new fund for designated contributions. There were a number of groups that wanted to make donations. We got some money in for the animal control officer to use for his kennels and things like that. There was some of the commissions that were looking to take contributions and then be able to spend it. So we created a separate fund. It's designated as a trust fund. So any money that goes in here will then be tracked based on the purpose it was donated. And then as it's spent, we will track the spending down. But we do still have to have a budget for it. So if ACDC wants to do an art project and take contributions, they can have it contributed to the city. We will put it in this fund and then be able to track spending. Like I said, we've already got receipts here. We got about $400 already in donations for the neighborhood watch, and then the animal control and the kennel.
Okay. Is this now where someone could donate and be tax deductible to
Correct.
that whole discussion we had?
We have a letter that if somebody made a donation, we just fill in the dollar amount and who donated. We send it out to them, and it would be a tax exempt donation.
Okay.
But it would all be tracked in this particular fund here.
Okay, and if anyone does that, just write the check to City of Eastpointe.
Yes, they need to designate what it's for.
Right.
But yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Just trying to get my head around all this.
Sure. And that's it for my stuff, unless you have any more questions.
No, if I have more questions, I know how to reach you, Mr. Blum. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, so I just wanted to catch you up on where we were at, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
All we've done is F. That was Mr. Blum. He did his finance, assessing, treasurer, everything else. We decided to save the discussion on water till the end. Susan, I wanted to make sure that you were present for that. So we would be moving on to G right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I apologize for getting in a meeting late. I was actually in a budget meeting for South Macomb Sanitary District, and also the other one that we're actually over, and we have 54% interest in. So I want to make sure that 54% interest is, I was there as well as I came to this one as well. So thank you for taking over for me and everybody waiting so patiently. So let's go to G, City Council, City Manager, Clerk, and other. Ms. Doom, I'm sorry, who am I pointing this out to, Ms. Doom or Mr. Blum? Is it Ms. Doom?
It's either Miss Doom or Mr. Fairbrother.
Okay, whoever gets in first.
Yeah, she's muted. You're muted.
There you go. Thank you.
Except, wait, we still can't hear you.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You want me to take this one, Elke? All right, related to the city council budget, the city council budget reflects no significant changes as far as I can recall, with the exception of, I believe there was a very slight pay increase for council members, but otherwise there's no significant increase.
What about the city manager's office?
Let's go. The city manager's office the budget reflects an additional part-time public information officer. Nothing real substantial there. You will notice that some of the figures, there's a few budgets that have gone down significantly and a few that have gone up significantly. All that is doing is reflecting the fact that Mr. Cotton, our previous city manager, was being paid as a 1099 independent contractor, and our new city manager is being paid as a W-2 employee. So they're just coming out of slightly different funds.
Say that one more time. Now, Mr. Cotton was paid out of a 1099.
Yeah, Mr. Cotton was an independent contractor, so he was being paid out of a different fund than Ms. Doom is. But otherwise, there's no significant changes in the city manager's budget.
I thought he was paid through I thought he was paid through that company. We were paying him through that company.
Yep. So
okay.
that's the exact reason why, is because he was being paid through his company.
Okay. Because I know he had his own company. I was making sure he wasn't paying him through his own company.
Gov Temp USA or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yep. Does anyone have any significant questions related to the city manager or the city council budget?
I would like to maybe have a little bit of a discussion on the part-time public information officer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. And we went through this entire computer today and tested everything to make sure it would work. And sure enough, I go out again. But yes, I've got my budget right here. So for the public information officer, we're looking at a person no more than 20 hours, a part-timer, that will maintain our city website, keep it fresh, daily information, keep that calendar going, and just really make it an asset for the community. Right now, as you all know, I don't see myself, but I hope you all hear me.
We hear you.
Okay, great. So as of right now, as we all know, we've got some sites out there that speculate quite a bit on what's happening in the city or how we're handling business. So really, to bring us up to a new level, we need a person who's dedicated to maintaining our Facebook page, our web page, all of our information, whether it be news releases, press releases, public information. And also when that person, if they have a little bit of downtime, they certainly won't be bored, because we'll utilize them to assist with Linda and assist with Kim on the DDA. She's ready to roll out her facade improvement program. And sometimes when we go into those houses, especially the ones that we've got through the tax reversion, it's good to have a few people. So she's typically taking along somebody. But our website is kind of reflective of who we are. It's our signature, and it is so terribly outdated, and there hasn't been anyone here in quite some time that has been able to regularly update it. And what we really need is to redirect our community, come back to us, come back to our site, come back. If you want information, you want phone numbers, contact, You don't go to the Facebook pages. You come to us. And so we want to reorganize the entire page and have easier links, have fresh and constant information so that people know that if they have any questions about the city of Eastpointe, they know they'll find it on our website. And that's going to take some time and dedication.
Ms. Lucia, anybody else have any questions?
Yeah,
Mr. Curley?
what type of money this person would be paid?
Well, what we did is we budgeted $20 an hour, but most of our part-timers are paid in the $15 to $17.50 an hour range. But you know, we need someone who definitely has I wouldn't say journalistic skills, but definitely very good writing skills. And I'm really hoping that we're able to get a part-timer who may be, you know, someone who's retired or someone who may have been, you know, whether it's in the media field or whether it's even someone fresh out of college that has a lot of writing skills. So we did just, you know, not knowing what we'd be able to recruit someone for, we plugged in $20 an hour. That'd be no more than 20 hours a week would be maximum.
Now, the last person who did a similar job, so it's not just all the way brand new, we just never have refilled that job, was Bill Driscoll. When I first got here, I know he was doing running the website and taking the photos to put on the website. So he was at most of the event. And I think he hasn't been here in almost 2 years, I believe. So we're just pretty much bringing in someone to do that job and refilling that job. So of course, I know Ms. Dillman is going to look at other communities that may have a part-time, so we can make sure that we have a good fair price that we're paying them, that like we always do. Anybody else have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know how the rest of council would feel about this right now, but in my opinion, I am worried about, we're not really sure financially what state cuts are going to be made to the city, what kind of revenue loss we're going to have. I'm wondering if we could maybe put this on hold until we kind of get an idea on how this COVID-19 is going to affect us financially, and then we can always do a budget amendment to add this position back in at a later date.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the deficit for this budgeted year here. I was wondering, is there someone that's underutilized or part-timer, since as I understand most of them are still laid off, someone that could handle those sorts of responsibilities?
Not that we're aware of, otherwise it would have been updated. We've had the clerk's office monitoring Facebook and answering a question if it's directed to the city of Eastpointe. But other than that, we've not had anyone since Mr. Driscoll. And, you know, I certainly understand with the budget constraints. The one really positive thing is a part-timer is not, we don't have long-term obligations if we cannot afford to keep that person. But we also look at our website and see how badly outdated it is, how difficult it is to maneuver, and it is our calling card. So, you know, I've tried also to monitor the Facebook page, but I can't sit every day and update and go out and take photos and post constantly. I don't know how we got into the position of sending things to our IT department and asking them to post for us. Their time is very valuable in working on our computers. And so, you know, that was just kind of a knee-jerk reaction, send it to IT. And as the mayor mentioned, we're really not filling a new position. We're filling a position that was here before, and one that I really think is very important for the city. Because right now our website, our Facebook page, we are so lacking in proper social media etiquette. And I think that plays a major part in why we see so much speculation and gossip and misinformation on these individual sites that people have created. I think almost to fill a gap that the city of Eastpointe has not been taking care of, which is to provide timely and updated information to let the community know what's available to them and how they can reach us and how we can help them. We need to start really having people come online and be able to do more online than come in the office. And I think that's the way it's going to go. This COVID is far from over, and we're anticipating, another round of it. So the more we can put online and the more people can access, the more we present ourselves in a very professional community that really has a good outreach from our community and has a good interaction with them. So I certainly do understand your concerns with the budget. At the same time, I really am concerned that we are not presenting ourselves as a really up and coming city, one that is, fresh and bright with, positive information that really helps our community. It just, in simple words, it doesn't make us look good to see, you look on some of these pages, and I've kind of perused through our website, and I find documents from, says Steve Duchesne, and it has former mayors and former elected officials. That's how terribly outdated things are. And unfortunately, we don't have anyone to dedicate to it.
I agree. I think, I know Mr. DeMonico was firm on making sure people got home and used the internet and things like that. Now, some people who can't come in and pay their water bill and things like that, or need to know information, and that's all they have access to is our website, and it's not updated. They don't know how to do certain things. They don't know if I made a state of emergency. They don't know what's going on because it's not on our website. And Ms. Doom has so many different jobs, and certain people don't know how to do all these things. I couldn't even keep up with my own, at my own time, trying to do videos and things like that, giving people the accurate information. And it's up to us to direct them to us and not direct people who live in Eastpointe to other people. That's our job. And I think we need to start heading people to, the right way. I think if we hire this person and we're on the right track, and they continuously, help, Ms. Doom and stuff, we need to be, first of all, we need to be where we should be. And then we might not need this person anymore. We don't know how long we might need this person, but we need someone to get us on the right track. And we're not right now, so.
If I may, we did budget for 20 hours, but I do believe that this person certainly can start at perhaps part-time, 12 hours, 15 hours at the most. We weren't absolutely certain what it would take and what the skill level once we reached out to the public, but we could certainly keep it to a minimum to keep our costs down. It doesn't have to be 20 hours. It can be less than that. It could be 10 hours a week. I think that'd be a good start. It's certainly a much more positive start than going nowhere, or having one of the clerks in the clerk's office, when they have a moment of time, they may look at our website and say, oh, there's been a question a couple of days ago. Let me try and answer it now. Or me trying to reach out to people after hours or in the middle of the day. It's not very productive. It's not a good use of my time. I'm happy to do it on behalf of the city, but I certainly cannot keep it up the way it should be.
This would be to just organize our current site, or are we?
It'd be organizing and maintaining not only our Facebook, but our website updated with fresh photos when needed. There'd be a lot more than that. There'd be the marquee, anything that we have via social media to be able to respond to our residents, to be able to give very factual information, and to update our calendar. So it wouldn't be just a one-time, let's get it updated. As you know, Cardi, it needs constant updating.
No, for sure.
Weekly updating.
Well, and I was asking because, our current website was essentially contracted without city council even knowing, and now we barely use it. We don't use it correctly. So to me, we essentially wasted that money. And I was just curious because that for sure would be a whole different skill set. If we're going to try and organize the current site, I'm sure it's somewhat easy to update, so that'd be good. But if we're doing a whole new site, that would be
not a new site. Not a new site. Using the existing platform we have, making it better. And I spoke with IT, and they've taken us through the steps of what it takes to rearrange, to reorganize, to make things a little easier to find. But no, the cost would be, as you know, it's very expensive to start a new website. Yeah. We take the platform that we have and we make it better.
Okay, and we have the email list that, as the Mayor said, Bill Driscoll used to use. We haven't sent an email out, I think, in 2 years on our constant contact list. So
right.
that back up.
Yeah, it would be good for us. It really would put us in a new category of exactly who we want to be. We want to be the leaders in our community. We want people to be able to turn to us for information, timely and factual. And that's not happening now. Not through our sites. It's only happening through those other, kind of community generated sites. And, I hear everything from what's being built on the corner of 8 Mile, which may or may not be, to what happened when the police went down the street the other day. We need to really keep people updated, sometimes daily,
Yeah,
on what's happening in our city.
I agree.
Um,
I
and
know I go to
yeah.
Macomb County's website. I think the executive has an update every other day or daily and things like that, keeping people updated, and then have numbers they can call, hotlines, even some of the information about COVID-19, about where we're at as far as the numbers, that could have been on our website. So keeping people informed in their city about, people shouldn't be telling us that we're a hotspot without us knowing numbers in our community and letting us know that. I just feel like we could have been better, prepared as far as information, giving out information during this pandemic. And I want people to be, updated about closures and things like that, and census. None of that is on the website. And I feel like Ms. Doom shouldn't have the responsibility of always me calling her and saying, why is this not on there? And she's in the middle of trying to do budgeting and, make sure we save the money and costs. So, anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
Mr. Crowley.
Yeah, I would assume that this is no benefits,
No benefits.
correct? So you're saying perhaps 15 hours a week at $20,
Maximum. Yeah.
yeah, maximum. I'm torn between the two. I certainly understand what Sarah is saying. But at the same time, if we don't keep up our public relations, and we're going to keep falling back. And if we do get hit from the state about not getting enough money, that probably would not be the only position that we would have to cut.
You're correct.
I mean, it would probably be a lot more than that. So I guess I could say I wouldn't have a problem if it was a maximum of 15 hours and anywhere between $18 and $20 an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that the position is really important, and I do agree that it's needed. That's not at all. I mean, I definitely know that it's a needed position. I'm just worried. My biggest concern was just hiring someone and then having to lay them off. So that's why I recommended postponing even hiring the position. But if the rest of the council, I mean, I do realize that it is a needed position.
Yeah, I think Councilwoman, we all agree with what you're saying too about the budget, and it's needed too. So I think we all have the same ideas. We all want to save money, but at the same time, you all want to get information out there. I think that helps us gain more money when people know about certain things, about late fees and things like that. It keeps people updated, and it will help a lot. So I think we are. Anybody else want to talk on this?
Well, I
Still
was
at the
just
city
gonna,
manager's office.
I was
Mr.
just gonna
Baker.
add something. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I understand the concerns, like everybody else was saying, with the what ifs. We don't know what's coming, but we all recognize that it is a needed position, and with the expectation of there being another hit with this pandemic later in the year, we need somebody that's getting the information out in a timely manner. That's a must. Whether it's for resources, information as to what we're doing, what happens when there's another state of emergency, we need this position. So, that's one of the things where I think, yeah, there's always a what if. Whenever you hire somebody, there's always a what if. There can always be a situation where someone there's a need to let somebody go or to lay somebody off. But if we know that that's a needed thing, then I really don't have any problems with somebody filling that position. And we understand that it's part-time, but I think it's better to have somebody there giving out correct information than to have people in a panic speculating. So it's just my 2
agree.
cents.
Thank you, Mr. Baker, because that has happened when people were in a panic and we couldn't even give out our own information because we couldn't even get in the system, Ms. Doom, correct? The IT person didn't even know how to get in and change anything. So when
Right.
we tried to give information to the residents, no one knew anything. And
Or
that-
they weren't
that-
working that day or didn't know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that looks bad on us. It looks like we're unprofessional. We don't know what we're doing, and absolutely, we all know that we do. So, we're still on you, Ms. Doom, city manager, clerk, and other.
Okay. So can you hear me? I just never know with this laptop.
Yes, ma'am,
Yes.
you can.
Okay, so I'll have Brian speak to the clerk's office.
Sure. So can everyone hear me? Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. So under the clerks, I consider it to be the clerks in the elections and RCV or ranked choice voting implementation. The clerk's office will continue to have 2 full-time employees. As everyone's aware, we have 2 big elections coming up in this fiscal year, the August primary and the November presidential general election. So that will increase some costs, but for the most part, we've stayed flat year over year. Ranked choice voting, you'll see a fairly significant decrease in cost from legal fees. It's going from $150,000 to $40,000. That's because we don't anticipate needing people like Ms. Gable as much anymore, since we don't see ourselves walking to court all the time like we were 1 year ago. Now, as for otherwise, there's not really a whole lot of change that I anticipate beyond just the 2 big elections. It's two elections of our even year, so it's going to be very, very busy this year in the clerk's office. So I'm very appreciative of the 2 ladies, the 2 clerks out there who are always working their tail off. Does anyone have any questions related to clerk or elections or ranked choice voting implementation?
Council, Mr.
Sure, I just had-
DeMonico.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Why did we, I was just curious, why did we split RCV out into its own department even?
You know, I don't exactly know. I think we were trying to just track how much we were spending related to, you know, I don't even know if we want to just call it ranked choice voting. It's really the DOJ lawsuit. We were just trying to track exactly what that cost the city.
Mr. Crowley.
Um,
Councilman Crowley.
We have, November will be our last ranked choice voting. That would be
No,
the second
no,
one.
sir. That will be our second one, but we will still have 2 more years of ranked choice voting elections for city council. Yeah.
So how do we attribute 86K for RCV? We have to, we definitely have to do a public information campaign, right?
Yep. So I did put in at least a few $1,000s for a public information campaign. That was something that I really felt was important last year, where we did town halls and put tons of different information on the backs of the newspaper and the water bills. So I feel that that's very important. $86,000 comes as a result of just all the fees that we're adding up. Obviously, it's significant. It's reduced from last year, although there still are expenses. For instance, we have to go before the State Board of Canvassers. We're hoping to get there sometime next month, potentially even, where we're again going to have to fly in. We're going to have to fly in our elections attorney, it looks like. We have to pay a fee to the State Board of Canvassers. The Department of Justice will be in attendance.
We need to do that for each election?
So it's been very tricky because the Secretary of State's office has been very reluctant to approve us for more than 1 election at a time. And I think the general reason is just because they don't want other jurisdictions to feel like they have the ability to implement ranked choice voting.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Ferndale and the city of Ann Arbor are constantly trying to finesse a way into being able to implement ranked choice voting for their local elections. And the Secretary of State is making sure that they thoroughly understand that they are not permitted to do so.
Okay.
Any other
And
questions?
maybe we can do some of that training on Zoom. That's free. You know, so
Mhm.
instead of, because I know we flew those people in here to train. Can they train from? But we don't need them anymore. Can you do the training or how?
You know, I will be doing most of the trainings with my staff. I don't anticipate flying in Her name was Miss Grace Ramsey. I
Okay.
don't anticipate flying her in again, although I think she did a fantastic job. And she
Right.
came in and held probably a half a dozen town halls around the city. And I truly am very appreciative of all of her efforts, but I don't think it's necessary for this upcoming election.
And we didn't have that recorded or anything, that it's on YouTube, if someone wanted to go to YouTube and go look at that previous, we don't have that on YouTube?
We
Have that
have a
recorded?
number of different YouTube videos related to multi-winner ranked choice voting elections. Now in November, it's going to be a little bit different because there's a single winner in this election. So I'm already working with the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center and Fair Vote to try and get some new stuff developed. Luckily, single winner elections are actually their most common type of ranked choice voting elections. So they have tons of good information that we're going to be able to utilize and distribute to our residents.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And other, what is other, Ms. Doom?
I don't have anything other. Mr. Blum, do you have any other? Oh, I see Sarah's got her hand raised.
Lucido.
I have another. I would like to maybe discuss a little bit the parks budget.
Okay.
I
Okay,
had
where you on, Ms. Lucido?
I had a couple of questions. So it looks like we are reducing our contractual service costs a significant amount of money. So if we get an explanation on that. I know we switched the lawn mowing service around, so I know that probably has something to do with it. And the other question I had was tree maintenance. It seems to be extremely high this year.
What page
Okay.
were you on? I like to follow along with you.
I'm on the line item, page 39.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
39. I'll have Brian handle that one for you.
Sure. You're exactly right. So the contractual services portion was reduced to $250,000. That truly is my belief to how much it's going to cost. Now, if council, and I know Mr. DeMonico, I know you disagree with this one. If you truly feel that we should leave it the same, I'm not offended at all. We can bump it right back up to 440,000. But from my experience in procurement and the cost savings that I believe we've already obtained, that to me is the best estimate.
Well, I think before we even talk those numbers, I guess we would need to, I think we should have a higher level discussion. So we've split out mowing, hopefully to save money by having the same company
Sure.
mow all the grass in the city, as opposed to, I think we had essentially 5 different districts before, which there's of course pros and cons of that, but so we're doing that, and then we're going to do everything but mowing for parks as a separate contract, right? Or I know it's even been discussed that it'd be in-house. I think we need to talk about all those different things, because if we are saving as much money, because the numbers, I think we're saving 50 grand in mowing, maybe, if according to how much JJ Mish had put in their bid. It's 50,000 a year, not, I think, you're reducing parks by 170,000 a year. That's a big difference. We're going to be able to do the same amount of things that are all in that contract? They raise all the flags every single day, pick up litter, do all this sorts of things. We're going to be able to do that for the same amount of money that you have in the budget, I guess.
Respectfully, I don't believe they do raise the flags every day. I've never seen them do that. To be honest, not once. I don't know if you have.
They always seem to be at half.
Flags.
What'd you say, sir?
I don't remember seeing nobody raise the flags either.
Yeah,
They're always at
I'm
half
here
staff.
every morning bright and early, and that flag's already up, and I'm telling you, they're not here at that early.
No, but they're always at half staff when they need to be, at least every time.
So they do lower them to half staff, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
so that happens often. Okay, so not every single day, I guess. I meant just like when they need to be.
Well, it didn't, lowering flags to half staff didn't traditionally happen as often as it is now. Now it seems like we're lowering flags all the time.
Well, it's in the contract to take care of it.
They
so.
do perform that service, yes.
Yeah.
One more thing too, in the contract, is it also including like hiring the part-time people for the parks for like the summer? I mean, that cost is paying those employees also that are gonna be working at all three major park buildings. Is it also including, like, I know they pick up a lot of the trash on like some of the medians, like in front of City Hall and things like that. That's all included in that same contract with the parks?
So the solicitation is being bid out as a time and materials contract. Essentially, there's two fees that are in the contract, one for park attendants and one for what I call like a general laborer, and it would be billed to us on an hourly basis. Yes. So all of that is included in the contract.
So we're just
Actually, the contract or the solicitation is on Mitten already. So if anyone would like to take a look at it, I'm happy to send it to you.
So it's not yeah, please send that.
Sure.
So we're not doing the contract's completely different thing, because right now we give a whole list of things to do, and they say it'll cost this much for us to do it all year. Now we're saying we're going to give them things to do, and then we just pay them per however many hours it takes.
Yeah, I mean, right now we pay the current contractor $37,000 per month. I personally do not feel that we are receiving $37,000 in value. I actually don't feel it's anywhere near that. So now we will be paying for exactly what we receive. No more, no less.
Right. I think the difference, though, is I think we just need to be enforcing our current contract, because there is a lot of stuff in that contract, and there's no way we can do it for the amount of money budgeted if we're going to do the same thing we expect of our parks that we should now.
Our contract, in my opinion, has very few enforcement mechanisms. It's not very clear.
Ms. Lucido?
So, yeah, I mean, I guess my concern, even with that, if we're paying them hourly, so they're gonna go in, they're gonna provide these services and then send a bill to the city for the hours they took them.
So they will be working with a member of administration, and they will be providing us an estimate or a quote before they perform the work. So on a monthly basis, we will be giving them a list of work that we need performed, and they will provide us a quote, and then they will perform the work, and then they will use the quote and invoice us.
So it's gonna basically, the bid's gonna go out as whoever has the lowest hourly rate. That's what we're bidding out. I guess my concern is, I mean, I don't know, obviously it's already posted on Mitten, but I would be worried that people are, once we hire a contractor, they're gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna take us 7 days to paint those picnic tables at Spindler Park. I mean,
so then we could just not accept that portion. So if they provide us a quote saying it's gonna be 5,000 hours of service to perform picnic table maintenance over at the park, I'm going to say, or it will most likely be Mr. Marucci will say, I do not feel that's reasonable. We don't want you to do this.
but then our picnic tables just don't get painted?
Yeah.
No, then we could paint them internally. Our DPW laborer guys could paint them. We could hire somebody else to paint them. Luckily, if a company were to propose astronomical numbers like that, I did include a termination for convenience clause in the contract. There's a number of different clauses that will permit us to cancel any contract that we engage in.
Because I feel
can't do in-house. I'm sorry. Why we can't do in-house?
We could potentially. So that's actually something that administration is analyzing and will analyze once we receive the bids back. And if we feel the bids are astronomical, then we will potentially move it to being an in-house.
That reminds me of Mr. DeMonico said something yesterday about sending out bids and we're not going to use them, a little bit to that. You know, if we know we can do it in-house, I mean, why we just don't do it?
I mean, the city could potentially do everything in-house. We don't do that because it's just not what people do. But you're absolutely right. I don't in general support putting a bid on the street with the anticipation or the expectation of not awarding that bid. So we do anticipate awarding the bid. However, if all bidders were to come back with astronomical rates, then we simply wouldn't award it. And that is actually clearly written into the solicitation that we are not required to award the bid.
Ms. Lucido?
Yeah, this is a question actually probably for Mr. Blum. I guess my question would be, when we used to have parks in-house, how much did we save moving to contractual? Because I know that we moved to contractual because we had to do cutbacks in the city financially. So what was the savings at that time when we moved to going to contractual?
Well, the savings on the first contract was about 50,000 a year, but that was also we had 2 full-time people with benefits and pension and all that, as well as a slew of part-timers doing grass cutting in the parks maintenance and snow removal. So we did save money moving to the contractual obligation. By not doing the grass cutting, not needing the parks mowing equipment, and looking at just the parks maintenance, we've actually internally come up with a cost to have a supervisor, a full-time laborer, and then 3 seasonal people that would come in that would work in the parks doing the maintenance. And we already know our price or our cost. We would still prefer to have it contracted out so we don't have to deal with the headache of hiring and firing and all that fun stuff. And that's where we don't mind paying a little bit more than in-house to avoid the headache, but we don't want to pay a whole lot more than what it would cost to bring it in-house. So like I said, we've already done the analysis. We know what our number is, and we're just waiting to see what the contractors come back with their number. They hopefully can do it less expensive than we can. Even if it's the same amount, we'd probably still contract out. Just it's easier to have a contractor than in-house people.
Absolutely.
Because when we do it in-house, we have more control of what's going on and when they're doing it. Ms. Lucido?
Yeah, because I'm just thinking once you add 2, you just said 2, I think a supervisor and a full-time. So that's 2 full-time positions. When you add benefits and everything else, I mean, that adds up, pretty quick. So.
Well, the difference is the full-timers, the 2 full-time positions would be handling facilities maintenance year-round. They would only be worried about parks maintenance from basically April to October timeframe. So they would not be 100% charged to the parks maintenance. And that's, so like I said, we know what the parks maintenance would cost. The rest of the cost would be on facilities maintenance.
Some of the
city hall or library or whatever.
Some of the parks maintenance, though, is in the off season. I mean, snow is part of it, right?
Snow is going to be bid separate. Just like we did grass separate, we're carving snow removal and bidding that out.
So now we're having a whole bunch of, well, so we're saying, okay. So we have 250 for contractual services for parks in here, right?
Correct.
And you estimated that 75K is going to be mowing. So that leaves 175,000 for a parks maintenance contract and then a separate snowing contract also. So even if snow was only 25K, we're looking at, we think this parks maintenance contract is going to come back for 125K estimate. Right?
So, well, there's a couple of different things there. The current parks maintenance contract, they do not cut anything but the parks, and for some reason DPW. So they don't cut city hall, they don't cut fire, they don't cut police, they don't cut any city buildings, they don't cut the medians. So actually, the current contract, I don't recall that number 75, but I'll assume that that's accurate. It includes a lot more services than what the current parks maintenance contract ever did.
No, I think so. I thought 75, Randy, unless I'm thinking of I thought 75 was just the parks. You split it into.
I remember 40,000 for
like
the parks.
39, 40.
That's exactly what I recall. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of the.
So you might be thinking all of it combined?
Okay, maybe. So then even 40, okay, so 40, so we're looking at 210 then, right? For a snow and parks maintenance contract.
Correct.
2 separate contracts. Okay.
So one more quick question. Actually, now we're talking about the snow for the parks. So that would be obviously plowing the parking lots, plowing all the walks also in the parks, like the path at Spindler Park would be plowed, things like that also would be part of that snow contract.
Well, the snow contract would be like the grass cutting. It would be a citywide snow contract. So it would be city buildings, parks, the snow removal for the code enforcement, all of that activity. So the idea again is we bid citywide for a specific service, get a bulk discount, and end up saving money that way. That's the plan. We'll see how it pans out, but only the portion related to parks would get charged to parks.
Okay.
Anything
I-
else?
I just don't think we're gonna be able to do it for 250. I agree with Mr. DeMonaco.
I
Oh,
guess
the
if
tree
we can't do it, you say we're gonna do it in-house, Mr. Fairbrother?
You know what? If council would like to increase it to 442,000, I'm not opposed.
I am.
I know
I am.
Randy is, but
That's a lot of money.
worst case scenario, got no issue with it. So
I did have one more question about under this under parks though, and that was the tree maintenance.
Yeah, I honestly, I do not know where the 75,000 was in last year's budget, and it was carried over into this year's budget. When you mentioned that earlier, I quickly brought it up. We have currently spent $14.99 on tree maintenance in this fiscal year. So I know Joe's is on the Zoom here. If he wants to speak to tree maintenance in the parks, he can pop in. Otherwise, I have no idea where that number came from.
Push that into parks maintenance, reduce it to 10K even.
Yes, yes.
Push
Well,
65
unless he's got a project planned where there's a lot of tree trimming that I don't know about, but
I mean, that's a lot of tree trimming.
it would be.
year salary of tree trimming.
We're gonna turn our parks into marijuana fields.
Don't say that. We're gonna get lobbyists all day.
That's
No.
good. That's good.
Anybody else?
Well,
We're still under other. Go ahead, Mr. Seagull.
I was just wondering if Mr. Abrams had something on parks maintenance or not. He's on here, isn't he?
Yep.
He's
Mr.
on
Abraham,
mute.
Director.
He's muted. You're muted if you're talking, Mr. Abraham.
There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Hi. We have a tree removal contractor on board for a couple of years now. The price is very competitive. Now, at times we hear complaints or receive complaints from the residents that there is a hanging branch or a tree is leaning in the park. So only on those occasions we send the contractor to trim or remove a tree. Generally, we assign the contractor to remove dangerous trees from the city's right of way. As you might have seen that we have assigned some 29 trees recently, that means within the last month, in the area where we are replacing the sidewalk. Some of those trees are very dangerous, and that's why the contractor is mainly concentrating on. In the past, what the city was doing was, as the whole city was divided into several areas, I don't remember how many, 13 or so, and then assign each area to the contractor to do a trimming city-wide or a sector-wide. So since money is of the essence, I kind of put it on hold, except when a branch is going to fall down or there is a dead branch, which could be a safety hazard. Only on those case basis, we are trimming now. Other than that, we are mainly concentrating on removal of dangerous trees.
So
Mr.
I was just gonna say, why don't I motion then why don't we just update that then? Even it sounds like we barely ever do that, make that 5K and push that 70 up to contractual services. Seems to make more sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, even going back 2 years, we spent $2,800. I mean, it says here on the activity in 17-18 was 2,800, and then it was 199 in 18-19.
Yeah.
But I caution you, Councilman, because one big heavy wind could make a huge difference in the park, especially when it is an open area. It is an open area, and then there are so many tall, heavy 100 years old trees over there. So one wind could knock down, how many thousands of dollars. So, and then if, of course, then it is a budget, and then if money is not used, of course, then it comes back. But, as long as there is money, then if there is a need, we are going to assign the contractor. Again, we diverted the concentration a little bit, as I said earlier. Instead of going around citywide and then trimming all the branches and all, we shifted the attention a little bit so that, we are spending the money wisely wherever it is needed.
Sure.
I mean, even if we did 25,000 and we move 50 into the parks maintenance, I mean, we might get to 25,000, but we can always do a budget amendment if they need more for tree maintenance later on in the year. If we do have some sort of horrific, like hurricane, tornado that comes through Spindler Park and wipes out 5 trees, we can always do that budget amendment at that time.
Okay, so what's your motion?
Which one do you think we should do then, Mayor Pro Tem Lucido?
I mean, 5 might be a little low. Because one big tree is going to cost $5,000 to take down. So I would do it a little bit higher than that, but anywhere.
All right, let's do 10 then. All right, then I'll just motion. Let's just modify the tree maintenance to 10 and move the 65 extra up to contractual services for parks maintenance.
Sounds good. Motion. By second.
I'm gonna look more into it, so I probably won't agree right now. I want to talk to Mr. Abraham about it as well until I come up with a better answer. We have a motion on the floor in support. Please call the roll.
Alrighty. Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Abstain for now.
And Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Next, we are still on other. So under that is, we still have numerous things under other. We have also our attorney, Mr. Albright, as well. Seemed like we went down some. Is that because of the caseload, or we don't have too many lawsuits, or?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. That is correct. The caseload is down. Also, the Department of Justice case that was filed against the city of Eastpointe has been resolved. That consisted of a lot of legal expenses in years past, and that essentially has come to a conclusion. The only other lawsuit that our office handles when the city is named as a defendant, so as the council is aware, when someone, for instance, sues the police department or an individual police officer, or somebody slips and falls on a city sidewalk, those matters are handled through the MMRMA, and Attorney Tim Ferran handles those matters. So the only other lawsuit we had was the gun storage lawsuit, which the city was successful in defending with an order granting summary disposition on behalf of the city back on April 21st. The appellate period has run on that case. I'm not aware if the Court of Appeals is extending the filing deadlines for appeals, but as of today, the plaintiffs have not filed a claim of appeal with the Court of Appeals.
Actually, I can answer that question.
Yes.
Mr. Monaco, yes, so we have.
Essentially, they're doing this thing they call tolling right now. I think while the stay home order is happening, none of those days count towards the, 21 days to appeal?
Yeah, it's 21 days. I didn't know. I know the statutes of limitations are being told, but I didn't know if that also included filing deadlines for appeals. I figured it probably was included, but I didn't have any concrete evidence whether that was in fact true.
Yeah, I believe if it is, was it after March 23rd then? I don't remember when the order came in.
The order was issued by the court on April 21st.
Yeah, so I think then it probably is then 21 days after the stay home order is lifted, which right now they're going with May 28th. So I guess they could still appeal that then.
Yeah, if I'm not concerned at all. I think that the Judge Drzezinski's opinion in that case is very well thought out. It's based on solid legal analysis, and it also is as precedent based on a very recent Michigan Supreme Court case. So I think that the plaintiffs, if they were to appeal, would have a very, very large obstacle to overcome in convincing a Court of Appeals panel that they're entitled to the relief that they requested. So that is the only civil case that we are defending right now. I have not received any notice of claims from any other would-be plaintiffs or their legal representatives indicating that they intend on filing a lawsuit against the city. So from a legal standpoint, the city's legal health is very, very strong. Our office is handling a couple of nuisance abatement actions on behalf of the city. Those cases have essentially been put on hold because they are cases that require the city inspectors to conduct interior inspections of premises here in the city. And so, of course, that's just not happening right now and probably won't happen for at least the next couple of weeks at a minimum. So that is all I have at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you do notice on page 78, that has the performance indicators, and it shows the number of hours spent on city business, also the number of closed lawsuits, number of open lawsuits, the number of ordinances and amendments that were drafted by our office, and the public hearings attended, special city council meetings attended, all appear to be pretty consistent with years past. But the big item is the Department of Justice case resolving, and so the city does not have that expense that it has to deal with.
Thank you. Any questions for the city attorney? Anyone? We're still under G. Speaking of other, we have IT, and we also didn't talk about the special events part. Ms. Doom or Mr. Fairbrother.
Mr. Fairbrother, if you take that, please.
Sure. So the two main expenses in IT are the current contractual services with our current IT vendor, EP Tech. There was just a very nominal increase for that expense, as well as I put in for the budget $50,000, which was a carryover from last year for servers, different servers, and server upgrades. So we don't anticipate any large IT expense, mostly because we just purchased almost entirely or all new computers for all city staff already. So we are still in the process of deploying those computers. I just got an update from EP Tech actually this week, and they said that they only have 45 more to deploy. So of the 120 computers or whatever we bought, they've deployed well over half and are in the process of finishing that up now. So we're quite happy with that. Do any members of council have any questions?
Mr. DeMonico?
You see me unmuting or just because this is IT? So I think the first question, I think I'm very happy about this because I didn't think about this when we bought them. It looks like they must all have cameras since Mayor and...
Actually, at the time, cameras were not a big deal. I talked to members of the city staff, and none of them wanted or felt they needed a camera. We did go out and buy a few cameras. Additionally, Elke and I both have laptops, so our laptops do indeed have cameras.
You're using a camera then? You added a camera because you're in your office at City Hall, right? It looks like.
I am. We both are.
Randy is too?
No, I haven't been upgraded yet. I have an old all-in-one that has a camera.
Oh, okay.
I told them to wait, and I can be last on the upgrade.
It works, right?
Darn, I thought maybe we did have them. I mean, nobody would have thought, I don't think anybody probably would have thought it was necessary when we bought them. So
no,
that's unfortunate. So after then they finish these last 40 or 50, what sorts of projects or what other things have they been doing? Because we did talk about quite a few things. And of course, Ms. Doom, we've talked to, under public information officer. I think there could be huge coordination to do a lot of good things. Obviously, these folks shouldn't be updating the website, but if there is something else, like we talked about, we did have eastpointmi.gov so that we could finally have a .gov address for all of our email addresses and that sort of thing. I'd like to see things like that happen. Did we have a list of projects after they're done with the hardware implementation? Because then, of course, we're not going to hopefully be doing that for at least 5 more years then. And Brian, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So the big projects for the next year in IT, I would say, would be both the servers and what I'll call the Wi-Fi switches. So we have in this building in City Hall, I would call it like a personal Wi-Fi network. So something you would have at your own home. So we desperately need to upgrade that. So my plan is to have multiple Wi-Fi networks in this building. So basically, if a member of the public were to come in, they would be able to access Wi-Fi in the building, but it would not be inside the city's firewall. So it was just an additional element of security, so that city staff would be on one Wi-Fi network and the public would be on a different Wi-Fi network, which is something that you see in a lot of commercial buildings where their internal employees will be on a secure Wi-Fi connection, and members of the public, may have a slightly slower Wi-Fi speed, but would still have access to Wi-Fi.
Is this what the IT vendor suggests this? Because most Wi-Fi routers are set up to be like that. You have a guest network and you have a regular network. The guest one will only allow you internet access and not access to any other devices on the network.
Yeah, so we are looking at doing this at essentially all of our city buildings. So DPW, City Hall, and police. And police actually desperately needs it as well.
And then the public will be able to, at all the buildings, connect to Wi-Fi then?
That's the plan. That's my plan.
I think that'd be great because we talked about that at the dog park. I thought a long time ago because we did have internet out there, we were supposed to set up that router so that there was guest access. That was when Steve Teolis was here. I thought that he was supposed to, but I think all we can do there, we can just do, at my own house, I have it like that. There's a guest network that's a separate password than the other network.
Yeah, I didn't know that about the dog park, but I'm happy to look into that and try and move forward on that. Okay. Yeah, that was something that our IT company, though, was successful in terms of the eastpointmi.gov this year. So we're happy to have that, and we look forward to maintaining that URL.
Well, I think it must have lapsed because it doesn't work anymore.
Oh, it does. I just checked it out. Eastpointmi.gov.
Yeah, I thought I tried it the other day. Oh.
Yeah, it forwards it to the cityofeastpointe.net.
Oh, you know what? If you put www, we should add that too. It doesn't work if you put www.eastpointmi.gov, but
okay, I can look into that.
That's minor, but I think what was the other the servers. I thought we talked about going to the cloud on a lot of things too, because that's pretty much everything these days. Servers are very expensive, and then you have to bother with maintenance and all that. If any of our vendors do have cloud availability like BSNA and things like that, I think we should definitely look into that as opposed to buying our own servers and hosting them, at the City Hall.
So I always say there's no such thing as the cloud. It's just where is the server being stored.
Well, that definitely is how it works. Yeah.
Even if we call it the cloud, it's just the server is being stored somewhere. There are, and you're familiar with this, there are benefits to having server on premises versus off premises. Yeah, we're looking into that. I will say that the server is in desperate need of updating because, and don't tell anyone I said this, but our police server is actually on the same server, which technically they're not supposed to be. So we've got to look into that and get that upgraded ASAP.
Sure. And well, if we're talking about this, the security is not the issue when we're talking about it. It can be secure in the cloud. It can be secure at City Hall, and actually, most likely, it's probably be less secure if we're hosting it because you have professional. I mean, I think the U.S. Department of Defense just like awarded like $1 billion contract or something for cloud stuff. So I think we just need to look into that, so we're not spending tens of thousands of dollars on servers, and we could just offload that to a cloud option.
Okay, I'm going to have to look into what the requirements are. For instance, the court is still, I believe, is still probably using an old AS400. I don't know if that can be hosted over a cloud. I truthfully, I just don't know. I thought you would have to have your own internal server for that.
I didn't even think the court system was local. I know like the JIS with the Michigan Supreme Court, we pay them like, what is it, $9,000 a quarter or something, I think. I thought they handled all that and we just connect to a system. I didn't think we had servers at.
Yeah, Cardi, I'm going to have to look into this one. I'm just not familiar enough with that.
Okay. Yeah, just to keep in mind, that was all.
Okay.
Anybody else? Because that subject made everybody so excited. I see.
It got me excited.
Everybody got so excited when we talked about IT just now. Let's go to special events.
Yeah, the special events department is where we track the labor cost for the Memorial Day Parade, the Gratiot Cruise, and the Homecoming Parade. We do not put any of our police cost in there. We keep that in the police department, and they track it separate. But that's really the only thing that goes in there is cost related to the parades and the cruise.
So it sounds like that, because I know we haven't posted anything. We haven't even really discussed too many of the cancellations of parades. And I've been getting constant emails about doing something for the seniors, possibly a in car. They can decorate their car, stay in the car, and do, stay in the car and just go up and down Gratiot or something like that, just to celebrate the seniors. So I want to hear what council had to say about upcoming events. Ms. Lucido.
Well, I was going to say, obviously, the Memorial Day parade has been canceled right now. I know the Gratiot Cruise is postponed till September. I know the Memorial Day parade committee did talk a little bit, maybe I'll possibly doing something for Veterans Day. I don't know if anything will ever come about with that. When it comes to the seniors, yeah, I mean, if the school wanted to set something up to do that, I mean, I would support it. They could definitely put it on our agenda, and I mean, I would support having the school do something for the seniors.
Now, I didn't talk to the superintendent, but I will do that. I just want to hear what council had to say before I even went with that idea. I know, some parents had emailed me and say, Mayor Owens, can we do something? I said, well, let me see how, council feels, and then we'll talk to superintendent so it can make it a little bit easier. So what other council? Yes, ma'am.
Well, the biggest thing is probably going to be, I mean, it would depend on their route, if they're going to need any street closures for it. I mean, if they don't need street closures, it's not an issue. But if they need street closures for it, then we have to make sure we reserve, have DPW available in advance to work that. But if not, I mean, if they're not requiring any street closures, I think that they could probably kind of set something up on their own, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I would have want street closures just to have some type of order. So, we all were seniors before, so I know we all like to have fun. So I just wanted some, type of order, especially if we're doing something on major streets. Mr. DeMonico, I know that's your old high school. What you feel about that? Something grounds.
Yeah, it'd be very unfortunate to be graduating this year for sure.
Yes, it would be.
What do you all think about doing something with the school?
I'm not really sure if we're going to close major streets. I think Mr. Curley would know more probably about this, but I think we have to get approval from the state.
Mr. Curley.
No, we have only Gratiot is owned by or under the jurisdiction of the state. All other major streets in our city are under our jurisdiction, and therefore we do not require approval from the state.
Yeah, because that's not a, yeah, just like we do the Gratiot cruise, that's what I was thinking. What do you think, Mr. Curley, on top of?
On the Gratiot cruise, we do get permission to close off the uh, inside lane on Gratiot from 8 Mile to 10 Mile
Okay,
for the last 21 years. But you have to get permission from the state in order to do that.
okay.
But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, though, I think right now it's really not suggested to do any sort of driving around sort of event under the current governor's orders.
Well, yeah, but that's just another couple months. Our cruise doesn't start till September.
But we're not talking about under the governor's order. Let's see what she does after May 28th. I mean,
No, I'm just, well, no, yeah, and I'm not talking about the cruise, Mr. Curley. I'm talking about for the high school because, well, Miss Van Herens had told me that they were planning on doing some sort of like, you know, drive-by like seniors event or something like that, but then they decided against it because it wouldn't really be consistent with the governor's orders. So I mean, if there is something we can do, that'd be good. I don't know if, you know, we could do something like that right now, but yeah, I'm open though.
yeah, I'm thinking after she opens everything up, not during the closure.
Okay.
Yeah, just the idea to put it out there. Let's see what happens. I just want to see how you all feel. Councilman Baker, did you have any opinion on that?
No, I mean, everything sounds like it's all tentative, depending on where we are with the current state of emergency and where we are in the next month or so. Because we know that there have been dates scheduled to open things back up and it's been postponed and then postponed again. So, assuming that we have an all clear to do something, yeah, I think that we definitely need to do something to recognize them. You know, because I mean, yeah, this is a rough time. You know, where this is a time where kids are supposed to be celebrating their last few months together, and they can't really do it. So, just as a way of saying congratulations and, you know, job well done. So yeah, I'm definitely in favor of doing something. Assuming we have the all clear.
Okay, sounds good to me. We did special events. It seems like it's not too much of a change there. So let's go to,
Mayor,
yes, ma'am.
before we go back to water, because I think that's pretty much the last thing left. Is there any way we can take a 5-minute break?
Oh, yes. Let's do 10. How'd that sound?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do a 10-minute break. Let me see what time it is now. It's almost 6. It's 6:55. And if you guys come before that, we can go and continue.
Okay.
So 10-minute break, everyone.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Is Elke there right now? Okay. Whenever she's back, I think I have an idea for the muting issue. So after the meeting, I'll try and hang out with her for a second.
Okay, cool. Okay, I know I said in a couple minutes. Trying to wait till she get back on. Mr. Fairbrother, are you there too? Ms. Doom, sometimes they can be off and still can hear us.
I'm here.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm here.
Okay,
He's over my
sounds
shoulder.
good. All right, well, let's continue with the budget workshop. Now we're still on G with other. We talked about the special events, and I know we did go over the street lights and CDBG funds and Brownfield. Did we touch on those things yesterday? Because I think the
We went through
CDBG
those at
funds.
the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. And I think we're going back to water now. Mr. Blum.
Okay, hopefully you've all seen the updated schedules that I sent out. Let me bring that up. And that. So this is the updated schedule with the correction on the 517,000 of engineering fees. This would be the 4.3% increase that we talked about. The 517 is now down here, and it is not here. So again, we had already talked about that. Then the other direction was to have it be a 0% increase, and then figure out what a fixed charge would be. If we keep the rates consistent, we could go with 75 cents a month on a fixed water charge and $2.25 a month on a fixed sewer charge. And then the usage rate would not change. So I don't know if you want to have any more conversation about this, or you want to pick a option, or how you want to handle this.
I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off on page 67 of the line item. And I know I sent out an email and I got a couple of responses, but this is just, I'm still not 100% clear on why these costs are so much. So if you go to item 537, pavement repairs, in 17-18, it was 307,000. In 18-19, it was 225,000. In the 19-20 amended was 600,000. That's for water. For sewer, now I know that in 17-18 we spent 68,000 on these repairs. In 18-19 we did spend 337,000, so it was slightly higher. And then in 19-20 we have 150K budgeted in our amended budget, and now we're asking for 200,000. So that's a total of 800,000 for sewer and water main repairs for cement work that we have budgeted for 2021. In previous years, at their most expensive year, which was 18-19, looking back, we still only spent 550,000, and we're asking to go up to 800,000. I guess part of my concern too is water. We're putting out 600,000 in cement repairs, and from what I understand with Mr. Abrams is a lot of times we don't even have to tear up the road. So the replacement of cement shouldn't be as expensive. We're not tearing up the road to fix those breaks.
Randy, I can provide some answers in addition to what I have provided earlier with respect to the level of expenditure, and then you can take it from there.
Okay.
Now, first of all, there are two type of pavement repairs in this budget. One is budgeted in a major and local street fund. That is purely for any street repair. That means a concrete slab on a residential street need to be replaced. That is paid out of local street fund. That is we call concrete pavement repair. That is purely 100% paid out of street fund.
Correct.
And this one you are referring to, ma'am, is we call miscellaneous street repair. Miscellaneous street repairs are associated with water main or sewer main break. Once the sewer main or water main is repaired, we usually cover it with coal patch, as you might have seen at several locations.
Mm-hmm.
And when weather permits, the contractor come back and then restore that. Now, in June 2018, a contract was awarded to a contractor by name Italia Construction. In June 2018, that contract was awarded initially, this contract was awarded in March of 2018. It was approved for $198,509. The contractor did hardly anything in 2018 before June. He actually did work only for $138,000 out of that $198,000. So when in 2019, when the season started in 2019 April, we had a huge backlog. So the contractor completed the job up for $662,000. That means in 2018-19 fiscal year, the contractor submitted invoices for $662,000. And then we had to increase the contract. You may remember last year, twice I came before you to increase the amount of the contract. And then, so again, during fiscal year 17-18, the contractor spent, or we spent only $138,000 because the contractor hardly did anything. In 18-19, we spent $662,000. And in 19-20, we already paid $265,000. And then there is some money available in the contract. The contractor was supposed to start the work on April 15th. He did not. He cited various reasons, the stay order, executive order issued by the governor. Anyway, he has not started. We assigned the locations. We so far assigned 50 locations to the contractor. The 50 locations represent wherever we had water or sewer main break. So the contractor is supposed to or expected to start end of this month for these 50 locations. I don't know how much this 50 locations is going to cost, but we have some money available in the contract, and then whatever money is available in the contract, we have roughly $371,000 available in the contract. I hope that will take care of the 50 locations. So the 50 locations were as of early this year. Whatever we have accumulated since then through probably August or September, we will again assign to the contractor as and when it comes or when the contractor is available. So we cannot predict how many water main breaks are going to happen in the city or how many sewer mains are going to happen in the city. It is on an as needed basis. If we don't need it, then we don't need the money or we don't need to do any repair. If any locations need any restoration with concrete, we have to do that one. We have no choice. The resident cannot tolerate asphalt covered sidewalk or BAM area in front of their house for 2-3 years. We have to take care of that. So that's what we are trying to do.
No, I mean, I understand that if we don't use it, we don't need it, we're not going to use it. I understand that. I'm just trying to get the rates lower because I would prefer not raising our water rates in the city. And historically looking back, we're not spending $800,000 a year water and sewer on these repairs. So we're budgeting $800,000. So that was where my question was coming in.
Yeah, and going back historically, and it does fluctuate year over year. Sometimes it has to do with, does the contractor get the work done before June 30th, or does it get pushed off until July into the next fiscal year? But in fiscal year 16, we spent $1.2 million on pavement repair. In fiscal year 15, we spent almost $650,000. And then the fiscal year 17, I think it dropped down to around 300,000. So it really depends how many breaks. Sometimes it's the contractor doesn't show up one year and we have to do double the work next. The 600,000 is an average. That is, you know, if it ends up less, it means we have more money to spend the next year or reduce rates. If we spend more, then we're falling behind and we have to take that into account the following year. So again, we can only base it on averages. You know, when you're starting a budget in February, you don't know what's going to happen 12 months down the road.
I have a quick yes or no on, right? So both pavement repair items would affect the water sewer rates, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yep.
Okay. And I guess, so are we, Mr. Abraham, are you trying to say that, so I know there's one resident that contacted me about, you know, we did a repair and 2 of their sidewalk blocks are just, you know, the asphalt right now, and we haven't gone back to fix that. Are we fixing a lot of those that we haven't over the last couple of years? I guess, I think that's what Councilwoman Lucito's trying to ask, like, if we're looking at history, and Mr. Blum, the 2 years you're talking about, you know, we put let's be honest, we put way too much concrete down on quite a few of our jobs that we didn't need to. And we all know that. So
Fire hydrants.
Yeah. So we don't need to talk about those couple years that are exceptions, but the other years are nowhere near as high. And that's where Councilwoman Lucito's going, I think. Here we can, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars difference. Like, what's the actual numbers, I guess, too, I guess was my other question for current, you know, where are we currently at for both numbers this
That's
year?
what I said earlier, Councilman.
Okay.
In fiscal year 18-19, we spent $662,392.
Where do you get, where's that? I don't understand where that number is coming from.
That is the invoice submitted by the contractor as of for fiscal year ending June 2019, whether it hit the fiscal years 18-19, Randy, you may be able to tell whether it was debited to 18-19 fiscal year expenditure, or whether it was accrued or whether it was not accrued, because by the time we approved the invoice, it was in August 2019. Though it was for the locations assigned for fiscal year 18-19, he submitted the invoice only in August of 2019. So if you have not accrued that expenditure, you may not see that in fiscal year 18-19.
Well, so I guess, I mean, I guess this would be a question for Mr. Blum, that what, like, are the actual numbers?
Well,
like, we know the activity for 18-19, of course.
right. It's
and then
$562,154 for fiscal year 19. That's actual.
For both combined?
Both water and sewer pavement.
That's what I have too.
That's what you have? Is that what you said?
Yes, and then for 17-18, it would have been like 375,000. But like Mr. Abrams said, some of that work was done in 18-19 from 17-18, which made 18-19 higher. So I would say we're probably averaging approximately about 400 to 450,000, but yet we're budgeting still 800,000.
One other clarification, as I said repeatedly, 18-19, the invoice submitted by the contractor was $662,392. For 19-20 fiscal year, we already paid $279,746. that is the total amount of the invoice. We retained about 14,000 and we paid 266,000. So expenditure was approximately 280,000, and we assigned 50 locations to the contractor. In April, he has not started. So we are expecting probably under $300,000 to $400,000 of invoice for the 50 locations we assigned. So altogether for fiscal year 19-20, the 19-20, the expenditure could be well over $600,000.
And we have 750,000 budgeted between sewer and water.
And then we have to pay AEW for the inspection. They are providing the inspection now. So that is an additional expenditure.
Well, sure. I guess we're just talking about just these two line items, though. We know there could be other costs involved. But I get, so Mr. Blum, what are the two numbers like right now in BSNA for those two for 1920?
The contractor hasn't shown up to do any work, so the current expenditure is zero. We have the contract designed that they show up in mid-April to get the work done by June 30th. So yeah, right now we spent nothing.
On either,
pardon me?
On either line item?
Correct.
We have 750,000 budgeted between the two line items.
Correct.
And we're at zero.
Yeah. Well, the contractor, again, it was designed to show up in the middle of April, do the work in April, May, June. Now they're not showing up till June 1st. Hopefully they can cram it all in before June 30th. And then, you know, we'll find out what the cost is at that point.
So there's 50 spots right now that Mr. Abrams said that needed to be done for this fiscal year. And we have $750,000 to those 50 spots.
One clarification, Randy, I approved an invoice on November 15th for $279,746. Out of that, we retained $13,987. So we issued a check to him for $265,758. So if you could take a look and see where it is debited, whether it was debited to some other line item, then that's why they are not seeing, or you are not seeing the expenditure there. So in addition to the 50 locations, ma'am, which is going to, I don't know how much it is going to cost. It could be $400,000, $500,000 or $600,000. In addition to that 50 locations, you know, we expended about $280,000. So Randy, once he looks into the general ledger, he'll be able to tell you where it was debited. So that's how, and plus we have to pay AEW for the inspection fee. So altogether it could be, you know, anywhere from $600,000 to $700,000, $750,000.
Mr. Blum, wouldn't AEW be under the engineering fees, not under these line items?
Correct.
Okay, so it would be a separate line item for AEW.
I guess all we're trying to say here is, you know, how much do we need to get down to a zero, you know, a low increase? I mean,
2%.
Well, I mean, if you go back to the option 2 here, let's see, share screen.
Well, I'm not a fan of option 2, but.
Well, yeah, all right. But if we took 100,000 out of concrete repair, then that, you know, you take that down to zero as a fixed water charge, there'd still be 225. Based on the unit sales, every penny drop in the rate requires a drop of $9,170 in expense. So you drop over here, we dropped it 10 cents, we could take out $91,700 of budgeted expense. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to, that every penny change in that rate has a $9,170 impact on both revenue and then hopefully an expenditure somewhere else.
So yeah, you said in that last, so it was the 121,000 plus the 365. So you said to have a 0% increase.
Yeah, 75 cents generated 121,689, and 225 is 365.
Okay, so that's what 486 or something.
Yeah,
486.
that be in variable rate. Yep.
Because I guess, I mean, this seems like an unfortunate timing more than anything here. If it's technically we're not going to be spending the, 750 we budgeted, rates would have been set according to the 750 that we budgeted this current fiscal year. And if we're not spending any of that, now it's going to all be lumped into, 2 years worth maybe in 1 year, right? I guess is essentially what we're saying. And then that's, yeah.
I'm sorry, but the money would still be there from this budget because we have 750,000 budgeted for this year.
Right. And that's kind of the point of having, we were talking during the rate study about having an operational cash balance of about 2 to 2.5 million cash balance for operations. These are the kind of things that you want that balance for, that as it builds up, it's there. If we do have a $1.2 million year on pavement repair, we've got the money to cover it. But yeah, if we don't spend it this fiscal year and it gets spent next fiscal year, we've already effectively collect the money for it in this year's rates.
Right. So then I guess I wouldn't want the carryover to affect the rates for this year. Or I guess that's I think that's what everybody's saying, right?
Yeah, I'm about having that balance, that fund balance brought up. I mean, I agree that we need to have that funding there, but at the same time, this year, with everything going on, I just feel like a lot of people are going to be experiencing a lot of hardships. And if we can get away without not raising our water rates or as low as possible, I think that's definitely really important this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What's
We
the
all
cash
agree with
balance?
that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mayor.
I think we all agree with that, lowering the rates. But what's the best option so it don't come back and hit us later on?
What's the
Mr.
cash
Blum.
balance?
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Mr. DeMonico, you were going.
Yeah, I was just asking, what's the cash balance in the water sewer fund?
Well, can you see what's on my screen?
Is it written down here somewhere? Net cash, I don't know. Where are we looking here?
Water operations?
Can you see BS&A?
Oh, no.
No.
It's not up on the screen? Okay.
Drag it to your other screen.
Well, hang on. I can't see it either because there's little pictures in my way.
Can you just tell us the total? Must be a bad total amount.
No, I can't see the total because there's all these pictures on the right side of my screen.
Oh,
And actually, I think you might have just shared Excel, not even your whole screen, maybe.
All right, hang on a second. Let me try
Not
this.
share, reshare.
what is on the other side?
That's accounts payable, that's that. Let me see that.
There we go.
Yeah.
You can see it, but I can't.
Okay. You can just drag, if you click and drag, you can drag all our faces over.
There we go. Oh, that's sweet. Okay, so the current cash balance in water sewer is 1.3 million.
Okay. So Councilwoman Lucido, I guess.
That's so can I ask you, can you go up and look and see what the cash balance was at the end of 19?
Right there, 959.
So we've increased our cash balance 400,000 over this year.
Right, because we haven't done the
Because we haven't done the cement.
pavement repair, yeah.
So I think you're saying reduce by 400,000 this year, and we break even if we go over 400,000 then. right, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to keep that cash balance up a little bit, but
But that's also if,
I don't want to raise our rates 4%. I mean, I still think that's a large increase this year.
well, honestly, who knows what happens over the, I mean, if we keep pushing the stay home, who knows with all this work we'll be able to get done either, and we might not be spending it anyway.
No, but Public Works is exempted from the stay order, as you have seen. So many contractors are working. But then if we reduce the current year's budget or next year's budget by 400,000, we won't be able to do much repairs at all. As you send, Councilman, you sent me an email last week. That location was repaired several months back, but we missed it. That's why it was not taken care of last year. So there could be so many citizens, if you reduce the money, there could be so many citizens sending emails to you, and then I have to respond saying, unfortunately, we cannot address it.
Well, I guess what we're saying is we want the rate to be lower, but we could still do that extra work since we didn't spend it this current year. I guess that's what we're saying. No, we want, I mean, I think we all want the work done.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we want, it'd be great to have free water bills, that sort of thing. But that's not what we're saying. We're trying to make the best compromise here. If we keep the rate low and then just use a little of fund balance to cover what we would have paid for this year, that we thought we were going to pay for this year. And at least that's where I'm going.
Mr. Blum, if we did, let's say, a 2% increase, how much money would we be taking out of our fund balance? Let's say we lowered the pavement repairs 100,000. That's still leaving it at 700,000 for the fiscal year 2021.
Right.
And we did a 2% increase.
Well, let's see.
We just like giving you math problems.
I guess so. 457 would break us even, right? So,
Be 357, but then with the 2% increase, how much would that revenue generate?
All right, let's get back to sharing screens here. So if water was dropped to the 407, it would give a blended increase of 2.7. It would drop us 121 out of water, but we're going to reduce the pavement expenditure by 100,000. And then we still have a little bit of room on the sewer side. So, I mean, we could reduce water pavement repair down to $500,000 and then just make sure that we limit our spending to that. And if a repair has to wait an extra year, it has to wait an extra year.
That's what I was thinking. If the council was talking about not going high on the interest, we're going to have to change probably a capital improvement in order to do that.
Well, I'm sorry.
What would that have to be? Because if we change something, am I right, Mr. Blum? If we hold off on a project, we can probably not have to raise the water rates to a certain degree, right?
Well, the capital projects come out of a different revenue source and does not affect the water and sewer rates because that's not considered part of water and sewer operations.
Randy, I strongly recommend not to reduce 250,000 from the miscellaneous street repair. I am okay or little comfortable with 100,000, but 250,000 will be a drastic reduction.
I have a question for Mr. Blum.
Yep.
So would we have to lower that on street repairs because we have a fund balance? Can't we just use this fund balance to pay the difference if we go over?
I was going to say.
Well, yes, we could.
I would rather.
It's just most of the fund balance, most of that cash sitting there is actually capital cash and not operation cash. there's not a good way to split it out. But most of that cash is because of capital projects we haven't done in prior fiscal years.
Right, we're only looking at 100,000. If we did a 2% increase, we're looking at 100,000. Do you think we have 100,000 of extra cash in that? That's not capital cash?
We can pretend it is. Honestly, at this point, I can't tell you for sure, but we should have enough room on the 100,000.
Mr. DeMonico, what would you think about doing a 2%? I mean, that's not a huge increase. I think it's more reasonable than 8.4 where we started at, or 8.3.
Yeah. Seeing as we're going to end up the numbers right now this year are 0, it seems I wouldn't be against even doing the whole thing here. We've got the 1.3 million in cash, using that to zero it out and still spend the same amount.
Again, you got to keep in mind most of that's capital, and we're projecting to use 2.8 million of capital money next year.
So then you're saying we'd have to push a capital project?
Well, we would just have to make sure that we have operational cash available one way or the other, whether it's, delaying a pavement repair or whatever we need to do to make that happen.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Can we hold off on certain repairs if we're trying to lower these rates? If that's what council is thinking about doing.
I would prefer not putting any repairs on hold. I mean, I'm about lowering the rates, but I know that if I had my water being broken up in the front of my driveway, I'm going to want that cement replaced. So I would hate to put any of that on the back burner. That's why I would propose a 2% increase still, because it's still a lot lower than what we originally proposed, and then just eat the $121,000 difference out of our fund balance. And then we're still doing all our repairs.
So to get the lower rate, we have to take money out the fund balance. That's what you're saying, correct? Ms. Lucido?
I'm sorry, what was that? We'd have to take out 121,000 out of our fund balance.
Yeah, to keep it at 2.7.
If we just did a 2% increase in water rates, we would be taking out 121 out of our fund balance, which seems to be a smaller percentage than what Mr. DeMonico is proposing, and we'd still be doing all of our projects.
How much were you proposing, Mr. DeMonico?
I was just saying, just do the rest of 457.
Oh, you was talking about do the rest of the project and just pay for it?
No, I said, well, maybe there's one detail I don't understand, but the Mr. Blum said we've got 1.3 million in the water sewer fund, right? Went up about 400,000 from last year is what we were saying. I was saying just use that 400,000. Essentially if we use 457, we'd be able to stay at a 0% increase. There'd be no increase because that's what's on his spreadsheet here for the, that he showed us a minute ago. $457,000 puts us at a 0% increase. And you're saying 120, right, Councilwoman Lucido?
If we took 100,000 out of the miscellaneous street repairs too, so we'd still be at
okay.
600,000. That's where the difference is coming in with your numbers. But Mr. Blum did say that 500,000, or actually, hold on, I got this number here somewhere. 750,000 of that we might end up that fund balance we might end up using for the cement work that Italian's going to be starting doing anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really have that much because that work is still going to be done this year, hopefully, or next year.
So the rest of council, Rob, Harvey, you guys been quiet.
Councilman Curley or
No,
Councilman
I guess,
Baker? Go ahead.
no, I'm listening, but can you hear me all right?
Mhm.
Yes.
I guess, Randy, bottom line, after all this talking, how do I say this? Can you live with a 2% increase? Will your rowboat sink if we end up with 2%? Or can you still float?
Well, we're going to have to watch the money. We know that we've waived penalty and interest for March, April, May, and June. That will impact this year. We're not rolling delinquent water onto taxes on the summer bill. That will strain our cash flow a little bit. Most of our construction projects in next fiscal year most likely won't start until after the winter tax bill, when we'll get cash back in our pot. So we can manage it. Let's just put it that way. It
Sounds
might
good.
be a little tight there in a month or two, but we can manage it.
Yeah, but with your experience, you've went through a lot of tight times.
Oh yeah. A lot
How
worse
about-
than this.
Let's try to, I believe in negotiation because we all want the same thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Baker, you want to say something? I know you were next before I start talking.
Oh no, you're good. I didn't really have too much. At this point, I think we need to pick an option and roll with it. The 2%, like Councilwoman Lucido proposed, sounded pretty decent to me. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I say we pick an option and we just go ahead and roll on it.
I was thinking about trying to meet in the middle because nobody wants to pay anything during this time. And then the 2%, we still have to balance out somewhere. So I'm thinking about what if we did the 2%, but until the end of the year, it didn't charge the residents interest rates on late fees.
We budget $600,000 a year in late fee revenue, which reduces your water rates. If those penalties and interest don't come in, then the water rates actually have to go up to make up the difference. So that is the downside of delaying or waiving penalties. It might not catch us next fiscal year, but in 2022, I'm going to be back asking for more. So.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, can I just make you mind if I make a motion?
Please do.
I'll motion that we change the budget or amend the budget, proposed budget to us to raise rates 2% for fiscal year 2021 instead of the 8.3%, and Mr. Blum can set that up however he wants.
I had one more question before we get support on that. Now you were saying if we did keep it the same way and not do any increases, how would that hurt us, Mr. Blum, before we go with this?
I would keep it at 0.
Keep it at the same. This is what Mr. DeMonaco was talking about?
Hang on a second. 1252. I'm gonna go down. No, 22 cents.
Keep it the same just to next year. Just give people a break for right now to see where we're at. And
All right, so we keep it at the 1252 blended rate. We would lose 260, $330,000. We would be in the hole 330,000.
Yeah, that's where I was saying we hadn't spent that this fiscal year then, right? Because we went up, well, kind of. Well, our fund balance increased 400, so we'd just be increasing,
Well,
you're losing 300 of that 400.
you're looking at cash at a point in time. Cash is currently up 400,000, but we
Yeah.
haven't done the pavement repair. So when June 30th rolls around, it probably will not be up 400,000.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to look at it as if we did spend that 300 this fiscal year, right?
On pavement repair?
Yeah, essentially. So if we did spend 300 this year,
Versus the 750 that was budgeted?
right, and then right, and then this fiscal year we would just need to spend 300,000 less, right?
Right,
In theory.
in theory.
My other argument is I would rather do a 2% increase this year than next year come back and have to do a 6% increase or a 7% or an 8.3% increase. I'd rather keep the increases like smaller over the years and have big increases, because it seems like that's harder on people who are on a fixed income if it's one giant increase all at once.
Yeah, I understand. So the motion was out there. Any more discussion before?
Well, I'm going to second the motion, so it's on the table now.
Yeah, motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lucido,
Yes.
Councilperson Curley,
Yes.
Councilperson DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilperson Baker.
Yes.
Okay, we're almost done. I know everybody's ready to go home. We want to talk to Mr. Abraham, because he brought back up the automatic water meter reading system, just for more clarification on that. Mr. Abraham, you still there with us?
Yes, ma'am. Today evening, I sent a document to all of you, as you have requested yesterday, clearly explaining why we have to replace the system, what is the reason why we are proposing to replace the system, what is our objective, and what are the requirements of the new system. I hope you have received that document. Now, in addition to what I said yesterday, it is only a matter of time. These batteries or the registers or the MTU, that is the meter transmission units, are already 14 years old. It was supposed to last only 10 years. So it is already 4 years overdue. That is a bonus. I guarantee you, and you know very well, it won't last forever. So if you don't approve this replacement for this year, then down the line, as and when these batteries and the MTUs go bad, we have to replace. There is no other way. If we don't replace this, we won't be able to bill those residents, or those residents will be getting a bad bill. So one way or the other, we have to spend this money to replace the system. And then the downside of not approving this expenditure now, and then let's say we replace it as and when we have to replace because the batteries and the MTU go bad, we will end up in paying more per unit. For an MTU, currently we are paying $110. Based on the quote we received from 3 consultants for 3-4 months back, they were willing to offer it for $90 if we were replacing the whole system. So that is a saving of $20. That is from one consultant, and it could be more. For the battery, there is a savings of $10 per battery. So that means we are saving $400,000 if we are replacing again all the unit at once within a year. So considering all these things, I strongly recommend that we replace this one, because instead of, if we don't replace it next year, down the line we have to replace it. There is no other alternative.
Mr. Abrams, I have a quick question.
Sure.
If we replace these water, whatever they're called, if we replace those, do you think that it's going to save us money in lost water usage every year?
it will save us money considerably, ma'am, like I said. But the water usage, as of now, we are losing 14.5% of water
Right.
based on the reliability study. Now, I cannot say the whole 14.5% loss is because of somebody stealing the water or we are not billing properly. Some could be, there could be a water main break, and then last year we flushed that was after the study. So let's say if you do a hydrant flushing, or there is a fire that the firemen use the hydrant. So there could be some other factors also. But out of that 14.5% loss, some of that could be very well due to, somebody, the meter not functioning well, or we are not billing some of the residents, or somebody could be stealing. There could be a combination of many factors, ma'am.
And then I have one more question. These new meters that we replaced, do you know approximately what the lifespan of those are?
We are asking that to be warranted for 20 years, but then most of them warranty only for 10 years. But then we are asking for 20. I don't know whether they will warranty for 20, but at least guaranteed for 10 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Abraham, did we figure out, so if it's disconnected and reconnected, say it's disconnected for a full month and reconnected, when it reconnects, does it send that current reading, or do we miss the whole month?
I sent an email to all of you today evening, Councilman. I explained that in my email. If you could take a look at the email I sent, it was, I believe, around 4 o'clock. Since
I know that you.
Since let's say I don't claim to be an expert on this system, so I sent an email to a subject matter expert today morning, and then he responded to me, and then I cut and pasted that in my email to you. So
okay, which part here?
I put that in red color in my email.
Oh, it's not in the Word document. Okay, that's why I'm not seeing it. Yes, I didn't read this part. So it's saying,
if you could read it loud, Councilman, that will help the other people also. I cannot, or I can read it if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can read it. I've got it right here. It says the register. Well, so are we talking about, maybe we're talking about two different things here. Well, I guess I'll just read what it says. It says the HRE-LCD register records the mechanical movement of the positive displacement measuring chamber. When a register is separated from the meter base, it cannot physically determine how much water went through while disconnected. This would be the same as a cable being disconnected from a speedometer. The difference being the HRE LCD register will send an instant tampering warning and timestamp the removal. I guess the thing are we talking about the actual MTU, or are we talking about the meter?
No, actually there are three components, Councilman. One
Okay.
is the water meter. We are not at all debating on the water meter because we are not touching anything. We are not replacing.
Right. Yep.
There is an equipment or a component that we place on top of the meter. That is called the HRE LCD, or simple term register. And that register currently is connected to the meter with a screw, simple screw. And there is another unit called MTU, or meter transmission unit. So the register, which is on top of the meter, reads the meter and then convey that reading to the meter transmission unit. And the meter transmission unit convey the reading to the data communication unit, which we have 4 in the city. We are not talking about that, or we are not asking that to be replaced. So the confusion you have is whether the MTU, that is the meter transmission unit, or the register. So this what I said yesterday was, if the register is removed from the meter and somebody use the water to fill a swimming pool,
Yeah.
they can do so easily and then steal the water. And then what you said yesterday was correct too, because if the register is conveying the number to the MTU reading and the meter reading should agree to the last penny. That means it should equal.
Yeah.
That is what actually you were told by the residents. That is very true. But
Yeah.
if the register is removed, then we won't get a reading at all.
Okay, so I think we're both right, and I think then just the last, so we're not replacing then the register then, right? Just the, or what we're talking about right now, right, is just replacing the MTU and not this register portion then, right?
No, sir. We are talking about replacing the register as well as the MTU, because the register,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the register has the battery, and that is the key problem or one of the key issues. Most of our existing system don't have or doesn't have a tamper-proof sealed wire. It is simply connected with a screwdriver, a screw, which can be removed with a simple screwdriver. Whereas the new system will have a tamper-proof sealed wire. And then if that wire is broken by someone or cut, then the system will send an alert. And then we can go to the resident and see whether somebody cut the wire. And then what the process what we are planning to do is, if we notice that somebody tampered with the wire, then we will give them a warning notice or a notice first, and then if they repeatedly do that one, we will proceed with severe procedures. So in that case, it would be most of the citizens or residents won't attempt to cut a wire, whereas somebody could easily, since somebody could easily remove the register, somebody could be doing that, we don't know. And then secondly, if the register, the battery goes bad, somebody could get a minimum bill because it won't record the usage at all. That is what Councilperson Lucido was asking earlier. So they will get a minimum bill. And then probably at a later date, when the battery is completely down or whatever reason, when we go to the resident and then check this one, we will find that the register was completely down because it is run by a battery. And then when we put a new system back there, and then if for any reason, if they get a large bill, then the whole problem comes. So there could be so many benefits. And then today, our city manager, LK Doom, asked whether we could bifurcate this expenditure into 2 fiscal years. But then we could do that one, but then we may not get the desired saving, because easily the consultant can implement the system in a year. So if we divide this into 2 years, we may not see the economy of scale or the savings.
I think so now, yeah, I see what I guess I've got a question about that though now. I guess, I mean, with people, so obviously they're going to have to come in everyone's house, right, to install these?
Pardon me, sir?
I mean, to install each of these devices, right, we'll have to go into each home in Eastpointe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I'd want to suggest, and that I wasn't even considering when we first talked about this, is coronavirus, obviously. I mean, I think right now that probably wouldn't even be something we could do, I guess, right? I mean, a lot of people, rightfully so, wouldn't want a stranger in their home. I don't think, I don't think we've had someone in our home, since the stay-at-home order. So having someone, especially going house to house, I think that's something I guess we'd need to consider. And then maybe this would end up going over 2 fiscal years, I guess, like we're saying. But if we do the project, I guess we just do it as soon as possible. But I think what you're saying, if we are replacing the registers, then also then my question I was trying to ask, makes less sense regarding the project then, with the ones that are working. Yeah, if that makes sense.
No, but
Abraham,
I understand the coronavirus situation, but hopefully that will be lifted by end of this month. By the time we award the contract, it could be end of June, and then by the time the contractor does assemble all the equipment and manpower and all those things, they may be starting somewhere in end of July or August, and then only one person is needed to go inside the house, and then it is only a matter of probably 30 minutes or 40 minutes at the most in one resident, and then as long as they wear the mask and the gloves and then keep the distance, so that should be quite okay.
Mr. Abrams,
Yes.
I just really quick, I wouldn't this is just my opinion. I wouldn't let anyone come into my house until after there's a vaccine or the numbers are pretty much at zero. So this is something to take into consideration if we are moving forward with this project, which I'm not saying that I'm against. I wouldn't start it anytime soon. I think a lot of residents are going to be very hesitant about letting anyone, even after restrictions are lifted, into their homes.
Yeah, only thing is the consultant will knock on the door and then ask the permission, and then if the resident is not willing to let them in, of course, then they will be willing to defer that one. So that will be an item that we have to discuss with the selected contractor and then have their buy-in. I fully understand that and appreciate that. And there could be similar situations like that, ma'am. And then, so instead of we ask the consultant to complete everything within a year, we may have to extend the time for another 3 months or 6 months. That is an item that we need to discuss with the contractor. But I fully understand what you said.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Abraham. Since we got you, we're going to do one more thing with you, and then you can leave because you've been with us for a while. You gave us some information on the resurfacing. So I know, I think Mayor Pro Tem Lucido had asked for these numbers on the PACER numbers and to see if it was construction needed to be done under certain streets before we did it. Did you receive that,
Yeah.
Councilwoman?
I did receive that, and I did look, well, yes, I did receive the information. Especially with us lowering our, water rates and everything. I still don't think I would feel comfortable adding this into this year's budget. I don't really want to add anything. That's my opinion, because I am worried about how this is going to affect the economy. And also looking at the streets that Mr. Abrams proposed, and that was why I asked about the CBDG funds earlier, but Madam Mayor, you weren't here.
Okay.
I believe Roxana was part of what we allocated our CBDG funds for this year, and we already have that.
Part of it. There's
Yes.
another part that's not in the, that's on here twice, right? So one of those two parts is for the CDBG, maybe?
Yeah, it has to be one of them, because all three parts of Roxana are on here.
Oh, there's three. Oh, okay. Yeah, it would be then.
I thought it was Forest to Haas.
Yeah, because that'd be, no. No, it'd be between 9 and Stevens. So no, actually all three of those are blocks north of Stevens then, right? Stevens to Forest, Forest to Haas.
Norton to Samara.
Oh, Norton to Semra. So maybe that's, is that the block that it's on?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's,
one clarification, ma'am. This has nothing to do with the water rate, because this is purely coming from the local street fund. This will not be coming from the water fund. So there is no impact on the water rate at all by doing this.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
So most of the information he brought to us were questions that we wanted to know more information about, and he did his job and did it very well. So it's up to council to make a decision on amending certain things going forward or doing it today. And it sounds like we're gonna probably just hold off on some of these things to see what the economy is looking like. At least we have some information about how to make a better choice with the information Mr. Abraham gave us. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna go back to other, just to bring up some things, because I know Mayor Pro Tem talked about making some, we're losing money. So let's talk about some ideas I had about making some money. I know we talked about the houses that, these are just ideas. I know we talked about the houses that Love Life is trying to buy, and we're holding off. I don't know how long we're gonna hold off on those houses. But I know when Mr. Kleinfeld was on council, he was talking about their property and on 10 Mile Road. And I know most of the council was hoping to get a community place here in Eastpointe so that people can have somewhere to go. Our kids can go have somewhere to hang out at. The seniors can have somewhere to go instead of going all the way to Roseville all the time. And people are limited with, transportation. And sometimes people just want things in their own community. So I was talking to Ms. Doom about it earlier, just as an idea, because if he wants our properties and we wanted that property, why not do a swap out? That's just one idea. And then also the military museum, we're not making any money. They're paying $1 a year, and we can make some money off of that property. I know Habitat for Humanity was talking about getting some property on Kelly Road, and they had to do a fix it up. But what if we use that property that we have for the museum for Habitat, and they're creating a store, which is creating jobs, and also, a place where people can buy things that are affordable. So I just want us to use, and then also we have those buildings, the commercial buildings on Gratiot that we can rent out as well. I don't really foresee anybody really buying buildings. I think Mr. Blum was saying that. So we were thinking about renting those commercial spaces on Gratiot out to people that might want to start a business in Eastpointe, but don't have the money or the funding right now to buy a building. So we have several different options to make some money on the things that we already have. And so I just wanted to hear what council had to say about that.
Madam Mayor, am I free to go now? Or?
Oh, you can go, please.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abrams.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, the ideas that you have are very interesting, but I don't, I'm getting brain dead right now. So I'm, some of the things you brought up were really good, but I'm not in a position tonight to discuss the alternatives that we have, but I wrote down what you mentioned, and yeah.
Yeah, I know it's time to go. We left a little bit early yesterday on your request. Let's talk about. We talked about.
It was 4 hours. It was 4 hours.
we spent time talking about how much money we're gonna spend. Let's talk about how much money we can get back. So I just wanted to know what council thought about that before we close it out.
Well, Madam Mayor, if you don't mind, the Love Life swap for that property, I would be against, because I was against purchasing that property to begin with, because I didn't want to take on another obligation for the city to maintain another building. So I would be opposed, me personally, I would be opposed to that that one. Renting the properties on Gratiot, I would leave that up to administration in their opinion. I don't have a preference if we rent those out or if we sell them. Personally, so if Mr. Blum wanted to crunch numbers or whatever and propose that to council, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. The military museum, I don't even know if we can sell that without it going to a vote to the people. I'm not positive because it's city-owned property. I'm not sure how that works, but I would not want to sell that property. Maybe if we rented it to someone else, but I would not want to sell that property because down the road, if we ever did decide to build like a public safety complex or something, that is a place that, would be a possibility to build something like that, owning it.
I thought we couldn't sell it. Wasn't that because there's grants we'd have to pay back?
Right, there's a DNR grant that if we sold the property, we would have to pay back. It's somewhere between 20 and 25,000. So it's not huge, but we would have to pay the grant back.
Then we were talking about dividing the land. I think Ms. Doon was talking about we wouldn't have to pay that back if whoever we sold it to, we split it off to the building and then the tenants part, which is the DNR, we wouldn't have to pay that back. But even if we rented it out to, even if we did, I mean, I don't know how long that military museum has been there, but I don't think it gets a lot of traffic. We can even partner up with Anton Art Center or the DIA and do some type of art event there, turn it into an art museum or something like that. I just want to be more, you know, use more, get more out of our buildings, bring more people to our city. And I just think we need to be more innovative and have more ideas on what we have, either making money or changing what we currently have to something else. And I think we haven't been doing that. We're sitting on properties and we're not really utilizing them to the needs of our residents. People need something to do and nobody's going to the museum. We don't have a community center. We don't have anything in Eastpointe that we can go to. And we need to start thinking about doing that some type of way. Even if we connect with the businesses and renting those buildings out to people. I know it was a nonprofit that emailed me that they do health and wellness. And I know Detroit has something similar to that. We don't even have any really type of health and wellness here in Eastpointe. No yoga, no arts or anything like that. I know we have the ACDC, but it would be nice if they can connect with DIA and have a building and have events. I just think that we need to bring more life. We call it a family town, and we don't have anything family as much as we should here. And so I just want us to start rethinking about utilizing what we have and, you know, going forward into to 2021. We're in 2020 and I don't see any changes in revenue. I don't see any changes in ideas. Everything is staying stagnant. We don't have any new housing. We don't have any new development. We don't have anything for the community. I can see if we don't do something soon about bringing more stuff to Eastpointe, people are going to start leaving. That's all I'm trying to say. So if you don't have anything for kids, if you don't have anything for seniors, if you don't have anywhere to go, I'm just saying we need to start rethinking about what we're going to do with the things that we have here in the city of Eastpointe to make people want to come here. So with what we have, and if someone wants to do business with us or an organization wants to do a business with us, how can we partner with them? If Love Life has houses, or even if it's not Love Life, if anybody has interest, what do they have that they can give back to Eastpointe? If they have a building in Eastpointe they're not using, they want a house, why can't we do some type of partnership? It seems like Eastpointe is always giving, but we don't have anything left once we give something. So I just want us to be more aware of the things that we have and don't let buildings sit, because it starts to look bad when the city owns buildings and we're not doing nothing with it. We want to get on business owners for not putting in businesses and leaving buildings empty, but we're doing the same things. So we need to be more better as a city and be, you know, do something with what we have so people can invest and look at our city differently. So let me go to what we've all been waiting for. Mayor and council reports, starting with Councilman Curley.
Thank you. Be real quick, you know, congratulations to everybody for working so hard on a budget, this council and the administration. There is one question that I need to get answered. Someone called me today. They said, Harvey, are you aware that there are 13 trees that are lying down, brand new trees, over at the bottom of the hill at Spengler Park, at the bottom of the Toboggan Hill? And I said, no, I don't know about that. So I drove over there. There are indeed 13 trees that are laying there, dying, I suppose, because they're certainly not getting any water. Now that could have been from when they were trying to offering those trees to citizens. That might have been the answer. But so I don't know the answer, but I'd like to get the answer so I can call them back and tell them what we're going to do with those trees.
I think Ms. Lucido wanted to interject. Did you want to interject in that?
I'm pretty sure I do know the answer, and I think Mr. Curley answered it himself. I'm pretty sure those are the trees that were purchased for homeowners that wanted a tree replaced on their easement. I believe those were the leftover trees. But I do agree Also, that if we can't find anyone to take those on their easement, we should plant them somewhere so they don't die.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what each tree costs, but there's 13 trees there, and we have the staff that can take them and plant them someplace in the city property. And how many parks that we have, you know? I just hate to see the trees lay there and die. That's all.
Right.
That's all I have, Mayor. Yes.
Ms.
This
Dunn,
dude's trying, yeah.
we can't hear you.
Yeah.
No. No.
Anyway, that's
All right, we're gonna keep it moving till you get able to get in. We're going with Councilman Baker.
All right. Well, will say to administration, thank you for presenting your budgets and the professionalism and the hard work that you all put in. And keep up the good work. I'm glad we were able to discuss this in a nice, civil manner. Council members and mayor, I know we spent a lot of time together over the last 2 days, but I just thank everybody for doing their due diligence. I know I stayed silent a lot, but you know, sometimes I don't have to repeat what's already been said. So with that, I hope everybody has a good night, and I will see you guys at the next meeting.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Dunn, are you
Now,
back?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Aha! I don't know what's with this thing. We had just had that discussion yesterday about those trees and why they had not
Good.
been planted. And as Ms. Lucido mentioned, they were purchased with a grant, because my question was, why did we not plant them perhaps on Kelly Road or places that we have some bare areas? And it was because they are for the homeowners and they are the grants. I was told that Joe Marucci does have a spot for them. They're going to be planted very shortly. They are still a bit bare, and I sure hope they're still alive. I haven't looked at them in a while. I mean, it was winter, so they look dead anyways. But yes, it's very unfortunate. I don't like to see trees laying there either that have been purchased, and we couldn't find enough people who wanted those trees in their easement. So we are
Thank you.
going to do what we can.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Councilman DeMonico.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for all your work and sticking around with us for 9 hours over the past 2 days also after your normal day of work. Yeah, Ms. Doom, Mr. Blum, Mr. Fairbrother, I think still there, but he likes to hide on us. And Mr. Albright, thanks.
I think he's eating his dinner.
Well, good. Keep it off then if you're eating your dinner. Yeah, so thanks everyone. I think we did have a lot of good discussion. We always talk about a lot of good things throughout this. And yeah, maybe a couple notes about some of your items, Madam Mayor. The community center item, I think we need to, let's open up a discussion with RARE on that, because I believe that'd be something they should take on as part of the millage we pay. I mean, I think that would be their alley. Of course, we want to have a lot of input, and I think it's definitely a great idea. For sure, when I'm walking around the community, people are mentioning that, you know, they always say we used to have a pool, and of course we had the community center, which all makes sense, and we definitely should, I think, work towards that as we can. And of course, we essentially just eliminated those because of the recession, really. You know, we may not have even created RARE, possibly if there wasn't the recession. So we would have a community center. I mean, the pool would be long gone. That was a long time ago. But, you know, we've been looking at, you know, the, what's it called, like the water park pad in a park or something like that. So hopefully we can, you know, a little bit at a time. I think we've been doing a lot of things in the parks, so hopefully we can bring a lot of these things back. In terms of maybe like the buildings on Gratiot or like the military museum, I think it's just not, it's not the purview of the city really to like make a profit on anything. I don't think we should be doing that. I know we've done like the land contract on a tax reversion property or something like that, but even if we did rent them out or, you know, whatnot, it's going to be a, you know, quite a small amount of money in terms of the budget. And I'd like to, you know, I think we need to look further than that if we're talking about, just a couple different properties. But of course, I'd like to utilize them as much as possible too. And, any ideas, I'd be happy to discuss for sure. So I think, I'm happy with the water rate from today and a lot of other discussions. I think, of course, it's going to be a challenging year, and who knows? I mean, half the stuff we talked about, could all change because of coronavirus. So we'll see how that goes. And I think, let's just make sure we make smart decisions going forward, on these various projects that we may have even budgeted for, but, we may, depending on how things go, may not end up, if we have to wait for a vaccine for some things, that's not, we're not going to be doing that project this fiscal year then. So let's see how things go. And, I appreciate everyone's hard work during this strange time. But I do have to say I like using Zoom, and I hope we do some of these, or we're allowed to do some of these things after. Maybe the legislature can modify the Open Meetings Act or something like that, because traveling around to different meetings is a lot of time. So hopefully we can take advantage of this in the future. So thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Monaco. Councilwoman Sarah Lucido.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone, all the administration who worked on the budget and prepared it for us, answering all of our questions, and painfully, I'm sure some of them were redundant and so on. So I do appreciate everyone's time in explaining it multiple times to us. Also, I would just like to say I disagree with Mr. Monaco. I miss having public meetings. I like Zoom's
In
okay.
all of them.
Prefer I like seeing everyone. So hopefully we will start, come June, the end of June, maybe we'll start having some public meetings again. But other than that, I just wish everyone a happy and safe weekend. Enjoy the nice weather. It's getting warm outside.
Thank you. I would like to thank the whole leadership team. And so when I say the leadership team, that's all of council, city manager, all the directors and things like that, because we are all a team. That's why this all was able to happen. So I want to thank everybody, Councilman Baker and Curley for helping with the gleaners earlier this week. And an organization that is over Masks for Mayors that sent all different masks to mayors in different cities, which I was able to pass out to the community as well. So I thank everyone who always reached out to me and give me masks for the community to help continue to lower the virus in our city and also surrounding communities. I want to also a special thank you to Mr. DeMonico and Ms. Lucido for pointing that $500,000 out. That was huge yesterday. Anytime I see someone doing something and that we missed and saw it, I really always want to make sure I do a thumbs up on certain things. Obviously, each of us have different specialties, and that's what makes us a team, because you might see something that the other person might see and vice versa, but we all come together for the betterment of the community. So that's awesome. And I also want to thank Mr. DeMonico for doing both the meetings right in front of the city hall. And it's cold and it's dark. I appreciate that. So thank you everybody for coming together. I know we haven't adopted it yet, but through it, so please continue to look through this. We might find something else. We might find another 500,000 that's in here that we can use. Who knows? Yeah. So saying all that, let's get. And I also want to continuously, every time we have a meeting, to continuously send out prayers. This is for all the council saying this as well. So everyone that's still battling COVID, and I'm still praying for those who came out of COVID and might still have similar symptoms, and those who have passed away. So I know there's a senator and a state rep who just passed, Mr. Hood, and we want to send our condolences out to him and his family and those who are his friends and colleagues who it has been affected. I know I knew him personally as well. And I know probably Mr. Monaco and some other council who's sitting with here with me today. So saying that, let's go to adjournment.
So moved.
Real quick, before we vote on that, Elke, can you stick around a second? I have an idea. We'll stop recording and everything, so it's not on the thing, but I'll second your motion, Mr.
Thank
Curley.
you.
Moved and supported. Call the roll, please.
All right. Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Meeting
Oh,
adjourned. You guys have a
oh,
good night, okay?
Okay,
You have a good
I'm
night
gonna-
too.
Okay,
Goodbye,
thank you so
Bye.
much.
bye. I'm
Harvey,
gonna
go
catch.
get some ice cream.